So glad to have you here with us. I'm Christi Paul.
And I'm Martin Savidge in for Victor Blackwell. ICE raids are set to begin tomorrow. Thousands of families, as we know, are on edge.
They're going to target 9 cities across the country. Atlanta is one of those cities. And joining us now, Atlanta Mayor Keisha Lance-Bottoms. Good morning to you, Mayor.
Good morning.
Thank you so much for being with us. I know that you have said to the immigrant communities here in Atlanta that you have rights, that you are not alone. How else are you reassuring people, and what are you doing? Are you doing something to give them a safe space tomorrow?
We've been putting out messaging via social media, explaining things that we ask that people do. We're asking people, you are in fear of deportation, to please stay in on Sunday, to travel in groups. To the extent that someone comes to your door, please don't open the door unless they have a warrant. And just the things that you would do with anyone when you are advising them of their due process rights. But this really is uncharted territory for cities because we don't have any coordination, and we wouldn't coordinate in any type of roundup, but just the common courtesy of giving us a little more information on where these raids might be targeted will go a long way in helping us to prepare our public safety personnel for any calls that they might receive.
So you're saying that you've had no contact, say, from federal authorities to give you at least a courtesy heads up of this is what to expect in your city?
We learn via Twitter, the way that we learn other important things from this president. So there was no coordination, and it's unfortunate because we've had great coordination in the past with our federal partners to put on large events like the Super Bowl, and we've had a responsible relationship. But unfortunately, in dealing with things that quite often come from the White House, they are inexplicable and irresponsible at best.
Well, the president has said, and the administration has said, these raids are targeted at people who have already gone through the process. Their cases have been adjudicated and they have been ordered to leave, and they have not done so. So a lot of people might look at that and say, what is the harm if they are following the rule of law and these people have actually gone through the process?
I think when you are in a situation where we are now, where we are discussing a humanitarian crisis with the separation of families, when we clearly don't have a handle on how we are detaining our immigrants who are in these deportation centers, it really makes no sense that we would publicly and at this time even disrupt the system even more when we have very real problems that still have not been addressed. So we aren't by and large talking about people who have any criminal or violent past. We're talking about people who, or the Trump administration is talking about people who have deportation orders. So what's the difference in doing this today, publicly creating this anxiety, or waiting until we at least deal with the issues that we're having at the border and in these detention centers?
We talked about this earlier in the day, about how it's looked upon that this is more a publicity stunt, maybe a means of the president trying to show he's being tough on immigration to his base. Do you think it's that?
I absolutely think it's that, and it's at the expense of innocent children and families, and it's creating anxiety and chaos that is unfortunate. And what's most unfortunate is that it's coming from the President of the United States. When I was here last time, I brought, a few weeks ago, I brought my 2 youngest kids with me. When I left, my 8-year-old son asked me if he was born in America. And when I reassured him, and I said, of course you are, and then he looked at his brother and he said, well, was he born here? Because he is afraid that our family will be separated. So it's not just anxiety that's being created in the immigrant community. This is impacting our children and people who have care and concern and compassion for others. And you would think that as a father, as the leader of this nation, that the president will have some care and concern and compassion, and we don't see it, and it's frustrating.
I want to listen here together to a woman from this area that Diane Gallagher, CNN's Diane Gallagher, had interviewed. This is a woman who is an employee at a nail salon. She is here illegally at the moment. She is a mother of children here. Let's listen to what she said.
We work hard and honorably. We are not doing anything wrong. We came to this country to find a better life. And I have my children, which I am trying to raise, and here we are just trying to work honorably.
So when we see that, and there was another woman that Rosa Flores talked to who's been here for 20 years. She is still here illegally, but her 4 children have been born here in the U.S., so they're U.S. citizens. Is Atlanta doing anything to help the immigrant population here get legal status? I mean, it's more than just this shouldn't be happening. Since the federal government and Congress can't seem to come up with some sort of idea of how to fix this. I mean, we've been in gridlock over these laws for 33 years in Congress. It now seems to fall on cities. Is the city of Atlanta doing anything to help these people understand what their rights are and forward the process for them to become legal?
So we are doing quite a bit in Atlanta. We have an entire department called Welcoming Atlanta, and its sole responsibility is to assist our immigrant community. And we are working with pro bono attorneys to provide legal representation. But the fact is that the immigration court that's in downtown Atlanta has one of the highest deportation rates in the entire country. And so while we're doing all that we can on our end, we are working against an administration who has no care and concern for our communities.
How long does do you know how long it takes for somebody to become a legal citizen?
I know that it's a lengthy process. It can be a lengthy process. And I think that if we allow people to go through that process and allow people to at least have a chance to receive legal status and not lock them up and literally throw away the key, then I think that what we have to avoid in our cities is driving people underground. So we have school that will be starting soon in Georgia. I would imagine a lot of people in the immigrant community will not enroll their children in school. They won't show up for work. They won't report crimes in the community. And this is completely counter to what's productive for cities and communities across the country.
Yeah. Tomorrow it begins, and it will be a very anxious day in this city and many others. Atlanta Mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms, thank you very much for coming in and joining us this morning.